Our Truck Week coverage rolls on now. We do want to welcome in the United States Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Secretary Buttigieg, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
So you heard it's Truck Week. We are focusing in on the trucking industry, the challenges facing American truckers. But of course, we do want to ask you about this recent news, the recent ruling striking down that federal transit mask mandate, which of course we knew was set to expire in just about 2 weeks. But airlines, other industries had been lobbying for it to end. We know pretty much mask mandates are universally gone, around the country. So at this point, why appeal the decision by the DOJ?
So the DOJ's action, as I understand it, has to do with clarifying the public health authorities that the CDC has. But if you're not following the legal blow by blow, the most important thing to know is that on most or all airlines, it's up to you now. And I think some passengers would prefer not to have a mask. Some will decide to have a mask. And either way, that is compatible with the guidance. If you're on transit, it's a little more dependent on where you are. No longer enforcing any kind of federal requirement, but your local transit agency, depending on the conditions where you live, may still have a requirement. So it's best to check locally. In some places, the mask requirement has gone completely. In some other places, you may still have it on a bus or a subway. Best to check locally and see whether it's up to you completely or whether there's still some kind of requirement in effect. And let me just say, look, all of us, I think, have been looking forward to being able to put all of the requirements, the restrictions, anything that went with this pandemic behind us. I do think it's important for those decisions and that guidance to come mainly from doctors and public health experts, less from politicians, lawyers, and judges. But as far as our department, right now, we're mainly just trying to make sure that passengers understand what to expect, because I know it's been confusing these last few days. It
certainly has, and if that appeal by the DOJ is successful, will we see those mask mandates return to planes?
Well, again, that requirement that was in effect was set to expire in about 2 weeks anyway. Sometimes, of course, the conditions have called for that to be renewed, but it's really based on conditions. So right now, I think the bottom line is if you're planning to take a flight, it's your call, and you should decide what you think is the right answer for you and for your family. And of course, it's very important to respect fellow passengers, those who choose to wear masks and those who choose not to.
All right, so we want to roll on to Truck Week now, Secretary. For months now, we've heard there's this shortage of 80,000 truck drivers industry-wide, and that figure comes from the American Trucking Association. But now a White House fact sheet from earlier this month said that 2021 was actually the best year for trucking job growth since 1994. Trucking employment now exceeds its pre-pandemic levels by 35,000 and is higher than it ever was before it began to decline back in 2019. So, Secretary, is there still a truck driver shortage?
There is. So the good news is we have more people working in this field than at any point since that date that you showed on the screen. It's been great for trucking employment, but we need more people in the field. And the truth is, depending where you're driving and what your conditions are, the job conditions could improve. And that's exactly what we're trying to work on and drive right now with this White House initiative. We need to make sure that there is enough truck parking for truck drivers to be able to safely and efficiently and conveniently park and often spend a night. Remember, they have requirements for safety reasons on how many hours they can drive. And when your hours are up, you need a safe place to be able to pull over. So we got to improve the availability of parking. There are many cases where compensation needs to improve. Some truck drivers are making great money, others less so, especially because they're not always compensated for the time that they spend waiting when there's a backup at a port or a warehouse isn't ready for them. That's something else that we're taking action on. Look, the bottom line is there are a lot of great opportunities to make a good career in trucking, but if we want people to choose that job and stick with it, we got to support them at every step of the way.
And Secretary, I do want to get back to that parking, but first, I want to talk about retention. And I know the administration has taken action certainly toward recruiting new drivers in the industry. We're talking fast-tracking CDL applications, new apprenticeship programs, crackdowns on sexual harassment, gender and racial discrimination. But retaining those drivers long-term really seems to be the biggest challenge because turnover rates are really among the highest of any profession. So what additional steps maybe can the federal government take to convince these truck drivers to stay?
That's right. At some of the larger employers, the turnover rate is over 90%. My department estimates that about 300,000 people leave the job every year. That's exactly why we've got to make sure that the working conditions and the compensation reflect just how important and how needed this job is. Look, we're talking about a function that is vitally important for every American, even if you have never been behind the wheel of a truck, even if you don't drive at all. You know, the clothes that you're wearing, the food you ate for breakfast this morning, chances are that got to you thanks to a truck driver or several truck drivers. It is the definition of an essential worker. They ought to be paid and they ought to be treated accordingly. That's exactly why we've undertaken this initiative, to make sure that it is more convenient, make sure that it is more supported, make sure it's more safe, and make sure that it's more well paid.
Well, along those lines, because certainly these are essential workers we're talking about, you know, the truck drivers who do choose to stay long term, one of the biggest problems they face is really those long wait times when they drop off and pick up their goods. And we know that the industry is set up, right? So drivers are paid by the mile, they're not paid by the hour, so they're not making any money as they sit and wait to pick up or drop off. Do you think that's how the system should run? Can the federal government do anything to change it, to tweak it?
I do think we need to look at ways to improve that compensation system. Look, because drivers are often paid by the mile or by the load and not by the hour, it means that nobody pays for wasting a truck driver's time except the driver themselves. Remember, even for an owner-operator, you know, they're paying a lease or a loan on that truck, which means that, you know, every hour that truck is just sitting there, that asset's not being put to use. And again, just the simple fact that they're working. They may not be on the move, but they're very much working when they're at a port gate waiting for a chance to go pick up a load, or at a warehouse waiting for a chance to drop off a load. We do need to look at these compensation issues, and that's something that we're doing. I'm teaming up with Marty Walsh, the Secretary of Labor. The Department of Labor and my department are taking a hard look at the data that we can gather, some data that's never been brought together before, to look at better solutions. Again, if we want more people to stay in this job, we got to make sure that they're treated and paid accordingly. Some people are doing great. You know, there are some employers that compensate their drivers for the time that they have to spend waiting for a load. There are some employers that have a great proven track record of employing their drivers for years and years. There are some drivers making six figures right now.
Right.
But we need to make sure that we lift up the entire profession, the entire career, not just for some, but that everybody who signs up for this career, and look, it's not for everybody, but it can be a great living. We got to make sure we support it.
Absolutely. Last question for you, Secretary. We got to talk about gas prices. You know, right now the nationwide average is down and it's steadily dropping from its peak last month. But prices for diesel, which is obviously what truckers are using right now, those prices above $5 a gallon and rising. Is there anything the federal government can do to try to combat that?
So the president's taken a number of steps, like releasing oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and we're looking at other steps as well. That being said, we also got to remember that there are a lot of private sector players in here, and they need to do the right thing. You know, I can't help but notice when the price of crude oil goes up, gas and diesel goes right up alongside it right away. And yet when the price of oil settles back down, the same has not always been true for gas and diesel. That means that you've got a lot of oil companies who are pocketing the profits instead of passing on those lower prices to consumers and to professional truck drivers who count on those diesel prices, obviously. You know, the bigger companies are often in a position to buy and hedge. That's often less so for some of the independent folks out there. And it's one more reason why we need to make sure that we're in a more stable place when it comes to oil prices, and that everybody, including those companies that are making unbelievable profits right now, we got to make sure everybody's playing their part.
Absolutely. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.